June 6, 1944, 4:30 a.m. English Channel. A cold, grey dawn crawled over the waves as the small assault fleet bounced violently in the surf. Rain, wind, and freezing spray hammered the wooden boats. The men inside, barely 225 U.S. Army Rangers, shivered not from the cold, but from what lay ahead. These were Rudder's Rangers, the most elite assault unit America had on D-Day. Their target, Pointe du Hoc, a towering 30-meter cliff on the Normandy coast, topped with German concrete bunkers, machine guns, observation posts, and, according to Allied intelligence, the deadliest weapons on the entire invasion front. 6 155 coastal artillery guns capable of shredding the Omaha and Utah, landing beaches from miles away. If those guns survived, thousands of American soldiers would die within the first hour of D-Day. The task was impossible on paper. Storm the wrong beach, cross 100 meters of open killing ground, climb a vertical cliff while Germans fired down at them, destroy fortified artillery positions, hold the point alone for as long as it took, reinforcements to arrive, if they ever arrived. Colonel James Earl Rudder knew the odds. He also knew he had no choice. Before boarding the assault boats, he told his men, "We will get to the top of the cliffs. We will take the guns, or we will die trying." The Rangers remained silent. Across the channel, Pointe du Hoc stood like a jagged knife, daring anyone to approach. The Germans believed no one would. They were wrong. At 05:00, the first bombardment slammed into the cliffs. Battleships Texas and Nevada unleashed their naval guns. The earth erupted. Pillars of smoke rose like volcanic ash. German batteries disappeared into fire. But behind the chaos, the sea was shifting. Waves were growing, currents turning unpredictable. And then the first disaster struck. The Rangers' landing craft were pushed off course. Instead of hitting Pointe du Hoc at H hour, many drifted miles east. The boats had to fight back through the surf, losing precious time. One craft sank entirely, swallowing its men. Others struggled through the churning water as German machine guns began waking up. Rudder looked toward the cliffs. Time was already slipping away. So 6:39 a.m. The ramps dropped. Hell opened. German MG-42s tore the air apart, firing from hidden nests built into the cliff face. Mortars rained down. Snipers scanned the beach for movement. The landing site offered no shelter, only shattered stones and wet sand. The Rangers sprinted across the narrow strip of beach, dragging ladders, grappling hooks, ropes, and launchers called rocket naval line throwers. They fired the rockets. Some ropes reached the top. Others fell short or slid off wet rock. Then the cliffs themselves came alive. Germans above leaned over the edge, firing rifles straight down. They cut ropes with knives. They dropped grenades, stones, even flaming oil, hoping to send climbers crashing backward into the surf. Still, the Rangers began to climb. Private Leonard Lomel later said, "We weren't climbing rock. We were climbing death." Rope after rope shook violently as bullets snapped through the air. Some Rangers slipped, some fell. Others grabbed new ropes, bruised and bleeding, and tried again. Lieutenant Edward S. Miller climbed with one hand while firing his pistol upward with the other. Sergeant Bill Petty was halfway up when a German cut his rope. He swung violently, slammed into the cliff, grabbed another rope, and finished the climb. Lomel himself reached the top first. He pulled his knife, cut the rope behind him, and signaled others to follow. The cliff's edge was a maze of craters and smoke, and the Germans were waiting. A firefight erupted instantly. Point-blank range. Hand grenades, daggers, rifle butts, fists. The Rangers had trained for months for this moment, hand-to-hand. Combat in the tight trenches and concrete tunnels of Pointe du Hoc. Within minutes, the men who survived the climb secured the immediate edge of the cliff. But the mission was just beginning. They still had to find the guns. And then came the most shocking discovery of the day. The gun positions were empty. The Rangers moved from bunker to bunker, expecting a trap. The massive concrete casemates that should have held the 6 155mm guns were empty shells filled with burnt debris, wooden decoys, and rubble. Some believed the Navy bombardment had destroyed the guns. Others feared something worse. The Germans had moved them inland, out of sight, but still able to hit Omaha. Beach at any moment. Rudder's radio crackled with chaos. Omaha was becoming a slaughterhouse. Hundreds falling, tanks drowning, landing craft burning. Artillery from somewhere near Pointe du Hoc hammering the beach relentlessly. If the guns weren't found, Omaha might fail entirely. Rudder gave a simple order. "Find them." Sergeants Leonard Lomel and Jack Kuhn, moved south through hedgerows and dirt paths, navigating through fog and smoke. They knew they were behind German lines, alone, outnumbered and dangerously exposed. Then, through the mist, Lommel spotted something. Fresh wheel tracks. Deep, heavy ruts in the soil. Tracks made by artillery. He followed them, inching forward, praying no German patrols were nearby. 100 meters inland, in an orchard hidden from aerial view, the truth appeared. All 6 guns, fully intact, positioned on makeshift wooden platforms, ammunition stacked neatly. Fuses prepared. Aiming stakes aligned toward Omaha Beach. If the Germans manned them now, thousands would die. And in that moment, 2 Rangers, alone, held the fate of the invasion in their hands. Lommel later recalled, "I didn't think. I acted." He jammed thermite grenades into the recoil mechanisms. Kuhn did the same to others. They smashed aiming sights with rifle butts. They set fuses. They burned elevation controls. They destroyed every gun in under 3 minutes. Then, as they ran back toward the cliffs to report success, Lommel said, "Only then did I realize what we had done. Just 2 of us. But we stopped a massacre." Back at the cliffs, the situation was collapsing. The Germans were counterattacking, hard. Rudder's men had taken the high ground, but now they had to hold it. And they were alone. The Rangers were supposed to be reinforced by 09:00 a.m. But the chaos on Omaha had changed the entire invasion plan. The reinforcements never came. Hours passed. German grenadiers launched assault after assault. Snipers crawled through hedgerows. Mortars pounded the point relentlessly. A heavy German counterattack at noon nearly broke the line entirely. Rangers ran low on ammunition. Medics ran low on bandages. Water was scarce. Casualties mounted. Some men fought with captured German weapons. Others used rocks when their ammo ran out. By sundown on June 6th, the original force of 225 Rangers was reduced to just over 90 men able to fight. Rudder himself was nearly killed 3 times. A sniper's bullet cut through his jacket. A mortar blast threw him off his feet. But he never left the line. When reinforcements finally reached Pointe du Hoc on June 7th, they found a scene of devastation, burned craters, shattered bunkers, and exhausted, gaunt soldiers who had held off an entire German regiment through sheer will. The commander of the reinforcements asked, "Who's in charge here?" A Ranger answered, "Nobody's left. We're all that's left." The guns destroyed that morning had been capable of firing 15 miles, enough to obliterate Omaha and Utah beaches. Had they survived, D-Day might have ended in catastrophe. Instead, because of fewer than 225 Rangers, the entire invasion, the liberation of Europe itself, remained alive. General Omar Bradley later said, "Pointe du Hoc was one of the most dangerous and critical missions of D-Day. The Rangers wrote their story in blood." Decades later, President Ronald Reagan stood at Pointe du Hoc on the 40th anniversary of D-Day and delivered one of the most powerful speeches in American history. "These are the boys of Pointe du Hoc." He looked at the aging Rangers in the audience. Men with silver hair, men who once climbed a cliff under fire, men who saved countless lives. Their courage is now carved not only into monuments, but into the very identity of D-Day itself. On that morning in June 1944, Rudder's Rangers did the impossible. They climbed a cliff no one believed could be climbed. They fought a force many times their size. They found and destroyed the guns that could have changed history. And they held the line against overwhelming odds. This is the true story of the day U.S. Rangers scaled the impossible cliffs of Pointe du Hoc.